9.
A little something for the weekend with Sam Hunt.
Yeah, Sam Hunt's with us this morning. Good morning to you, Sam.
Good morning, Wammo.
Are you well?
Look, I'm. It's in a week of devastation for so many people.
Yeah.
In Christchurch, crazy little things happen, and you say, "Am I well?" Well, last week I was feeling. I don't want to go about my health, but I was feeling really crook. It turned out to be the sort of humidity.
Oh yes, yeah.
I just couldn't, it just knocked me over. Too much for one white man to endure. Mm. And I went to the doctor, and I let them do things which I don't normally let them do. They took some blood. Yeah. Which is really against my whole thing. I don't like being invaded. Oh. They took enough blood. He's a really good doctor. That's why. And he said, "Look, we'll take the blood test. Would you mind that?" Yeah. I said, "Well, okay." Well, they took enough to keep most of New Zealand going, but I was still going to drive the car home. Yeah. But anyway, no news is good news, and so I thought. And so you don't want your doctor ringing because they say it's bad news if they ring. That's why they're ringing. But he did ring. But he rang to say that the news was all good.
Oh, great.
So I asked how I am. To my absolute astonishment, I'm okay.
You are well.
Something else on a different sort of level that happened this week, small thing maybe, but I think a big thing, and that is that the listener, the dear old listener, New Zealand listener, published a poem. Now, they used to publish poems all the time under different editors of the past. The listener was, I remember myself, when I was quite young, having my first poem published, like, in the listener. Mm. And it was it felt really good. People saw the poem and, you got feedback. I remember one time having a poem in the listener and the girl was written about, I was talked about a broken marriage and things, and she said, "Oh, was that a poem about me?" And, of course, it was. Lovely, So anyway, I want to read this poem because not only is it's so good to see the poem being published, but such a lovely poem too, such a beautiful one, by Gregory O'Brien, who some people will know is a Wellington writer and artist, very, very talented man, does amazing paintings. I love his work, and I love his poems. And this is a new one in the listener, which is called Tangi Parihaka, in memoriam to one of the Hohaias, which is an old family from out there, to Maranga Hohaia. I hope I got that name right. Maranga Hohaia. I know the name Hohaia well enough. Tangi Parihaka. Everywhere a voice is heard, not this voice, but the hollow backbone of a dog or a volcano breathing inwards. Somewhere a sprig, stem or root, a wreath worn in the hair, and the river, which is only as deep as the sky, and the eel, its foundation stone. Elsewhere a voice, not this one, a beaten drum and a flax basket, the heart in its retiring place. Around the head of each, an encircling greenness, Karakia, these expertly woven branches and leaves that cannot hold him to us, but neither will they let him go. Yeah.
That's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. Those last ones, an encircling greenness, Karakia, these expertly woven branches and leaves that cannot hold him to us, but neither will they let him go. Mm. Beautiful. Mm. So good to see. It actually got me on, as of these things often do. That poem, reading it, got me thinking of an Italian poet who I've loved for many, many years, since when I was very young and lived at Bottle Creek, and a friend of mine, Sue Brockie, who knew Italian, taught Italian. In fact, I think she taught at Victoria University, I think. And she introduced me to the Italian poets like Quasimodo and Sabu and Ungaretti and Montale. And I just reading Montale, just beautiful. This is the translations by Robert Lowell, the American poet, but he didn't call them translations; he called them imitations. And this is just a phrase, just a verse from a great Montale poem, which I don't know the name of the title, so it's Arsenio. But just listen to the end of this poem. The sky trembles with raindrops, the dry soil turning to water steams. Everywhere near you is smoke, a rustling hose the earth, capsizes the sopping pavilions, douses the Chinese lanterns hissing on the esplanade. You are flung aside among wicker porch furniture and dank mats, like a water lily dragging its roots, sticky, never sure-footed, hysterical with life. You stretch towards an emptiness of suffocated sobbing. You are knotted in the rings of the fishnet, gulped by the gasping, spent water. Everything you grab hold of, street, portico, walls and mirrors, glues you to a paralyzed crowd of dead things. And this is the last little verse. I love this. If a word fells you, if a gesture ruins you by now, Arsenio, it's a sign that this is the hour for letting go of the life you were always disposed to throttle. A wind carries its ashes to the stars.
Mm.
Isn't he great?
Yeah.
So one poem to another, and so I'm heavily into Montale and Gregory O'Brien. So if Gregory happens to be listening out there, bloody good, mate.
Yeah.
Bloody marvellous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big festival up here tomorrow.
Yes, what is it?
It's called Selective Sound.
Oh, yes.
It's being held out on Settlement Road, which is between sort of Kaiwaka and Mangawai. And I'm performing. What time am I on? I've got my little schedule here. I'm on just before 4 o'clock, because these days I don't work after dark.
Yeah, sure.
And they've got a good lineup. They've got, I don't know, Helen and the Birds. I don't know who that is. Then the Fritz, then the Albie. Elliot Brown. Have you played Elliot?
Oh, he is great.
Isn't he good?
Yeah.
Well, he's on just before me. Elliot's on from 3 to 3:45, and then Moi, and then Anika Moa, and Soldier, Dane Rumble.
Oh, yes.
Is there any connection with Ben Rumble? Hey? What did Ben Rumble sell?
I think it was cell phones, wasn't it?
Ben Rumble. This is maybe his son.
It could be.
I'll ask him if I meet him. I'll ask him if he's related to Ben. Yeah. And there's 1814. Have you heard of them?
Yep.
1814. 660.
Yes.
660, and finally Cora.
Yeah, that'll be good.
And the Sweet Mix Kids are DJing.
Oh, yeah.
So that should be interesting. I'm sort of going over with Alf and do my set, and definitely make sure that I hear Elliot Brown.
Yeah, definitely do.
Oh, he's good. He's local up there. He's from there. So.
Yeah.
So that's the story of the winner, and I mean, what do you say? The Christchurch thing, the thing of that line of Tom Gunn's that I've said on this program, that lovely line, I've reached a time when words no longer help. Then that poem ends up, the sweet moist wafer of your tongue I taste and find right meanings in your silent mouth. Yeah, so that's something for the weekend.
It feels that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. Hey, thank you, and have a good weekend. And I hope the people in Christchurch can find some shelter and some love somewhere, eh?
Indeed. Thanks very much, Sam.
Yeah. Okay.
Cheers.
See ya.
See ya.
That was a little something for the weekend with Sam Hunt, only on